first place that we're going to begin in our bra making journey is measuring. So measuring for bra making is a little bit different than measuring for just regular garment sewing in that there's a few more measurements that we have to do and we have to be extremely precise. I've shared in our Getting Started blog post, and I'll also share in the comments here. There's a great calculator online. It's called abrathatfits.org, and it was started actually by a Reddit community that was a group of people who wanted to make bra fitting a little bit easier. So most of it was for people going out and purchasing ready-to-wear bras, but it also works really well for us in the sewing world. So a few measurements that you'll be taking in the bra that fits are obviously your full bust, your under bust. You'll also be taking an upper bust measurement. So in that calculator, it will tell you how exactly to do it. There are several measurements that you'll take. You'll take them standing up. You'll also take them lying down and bent forward so that you can get a couple different measurements on the breast tissue. But a few things to note here. So first off, of course, we have to have a really good tape measure. And with these fiberglass tape measures, they do tend to stretch out over time. So take your tape measure, take a section of it and measure it. I have a 1-inch grid here, and I'm just going to make sure that my tape measure hasn't stretched out. So when taking these measurements, if you're taking them for yourself, I would recommend doing them in front of a mirror so that you can make sure that you have your tape correct here. So when coming across the full bust, we want to make sure that we're not cutting in to our breast tissue here. It should be somewhat loose, but not loose in the sense that it's starting to fall, but loose in the sense that I have a little bit of wiggle room to kind of get my finger underneath here, and that's about it. Okay, so here I have, this is my Royal Dress Forms Penelope. So Penelope here has a 37-inch bust. The under bust is going to be right where the breast tissue meets the rest of the body. Okay, and then again on Penelope here, that would be a 30.5. So when I'm in a situation like that, I'm going to round to the nearest number. So most bra patterns have 2-inch measurements for the band. Some of them do it in 1 inch. For something like 30.5, I am going to round down, but your pattern may tell you to do something else. So if your pattern tells you to round up to the next fullest size, then that's what you'll do. Okay, upper bust measurement here is just going to be above the breast tissue. So on Penelope, we've got 35.5. So in this case, I would round up to 36 in most bra patterns. But again, your pattern's going to tell you that. Okay, when you're doing this, obviously Penelope is not a real person, so she's not breathing in and out. But what you want to do is you want to take a big inhale, and then you want to exhale halfway, hold at that halfway mark, and then that's where you're going to do your measurements. So obviously we're measuring in an area where our body expands and contracts due to our breathing. So you want to make sure you're not doing it at that full inhale, but also not completely at your full exhale. Okay, one other thing that a lot of bra patterns use these days is something called the bottom cup depth. So the bottom cup depth is measured from the apex of the breast, which sometimes gets confused with the nipple. In an ideal world, your apex would be the nipple, but in a lot of cases it's not, especially as we get older and gravity comes into play. Our apex is not the nipple. So they do recommend that you do this wearing a well-fitting bra, which you probably have or don't have, depending on why you've decided to do bra making. Me, for example, I'm a little bit of an odd size. I did not have a super well-fitting bra when I first measured my bottom cup depth. You can, in theory, do it naked, but you will probably get a better result in a well-fitting bra or as close to well-fitting as you can get. So from the apex here, you're going to measure down to where, again, the breast tissue meets the rest of the body. And if you're wearing a well-fitting bra, which Penelope's not, because this is my bra and we're slightly different sizes, that will actually be where your wire line is. And then from here, you're going to get a measurement. So on Penelope, it's 4 1/4 inches, and that would be the bottom cup depth. I will again link to some resources on measuring the bottom cup depth that go a little bit more into detail on it. That is also again in that blog post that I've shared. Okay, so very first thing is to go ahead and measure yourself. Once you have your measurements, you can start choosing your patterns. So one thing I will note about patterns, and this is something that I find a little bit frustrating about the bra making world, is that they are not the best as far as sizing. So it can be very challenging if you are in a larger size to find patterns that work for you. Even myself, I find a lot of patterns don't work for me just because I have a smaller band size and a larger cup size. A lot of patterns out there will be 32 to 38A to double D, and for somebody like myself, I'm not going to fit into that size. If you're in a larger band size, such as a 46, 48, even higher than that, it is a little bit more challenging to find some bras that fit. I'll link to you to some of these, some of the patterns that I have found that fit. But just with the caveat that you may struggle, and I wish it was not that way. I find it a little bit ridiculous that most bra patterns only go up to a 46, but I will link you to some of the resources that I have found for larger sizes. So once I have my measurements down, I'm going to go ahead and choose a pattern. So lots of different options as far as patterns. I'm going to talk a little bit about some paper patterns. So we stock a few of them here. We have two companies that we stock. One of them is called Elan, and the other is Bra Maker's Supply. So the Elan patterns, they are out of the US. They have, I think, just 6 patterns in their range. They're all very basic patterns, but really great patterns if you're starting out. Two of the ones that we carry here are the 645 and the 520. These are basically the same bra. There's some slight differences in them, but the 520 has a larger size range to it. So this one has sizes, band sizes 42 through 48 and cups C through double F, and then the larger size range is 32 and A through double D. So this is one of those patterns that is not going to fit a ton of size ranges. Okay. Bra Maker's Supply. So Beverly Johnson, who creates these patterns, she calls them Pinup Girls. She sells them under her Bra Maker's Supply brand. She's Canadian. She's out of Hamilton, and she's one of the big names in bra making. She created the bottom cup depth system, and now a lot of other bra companies are using that as well. So her patterns I do find a little bit better for some different sizes because she goes by the bottom cup depth. But again, band sizes again in this, not super great. I believe most of her patterns only go up to a 44. I think a couple of them go up to a 46 or 48. So if you are in one of those larger band sizes, these may or may not fit you. I do like the bottom cup depth system just because it does give you a lot more options as far as cup sizing. Instead of just being A, B, C, D, from there you're going by that bottom cup depth, which goes in 1/4 inches, so there's a lot more options for you. So lots of different brands out there in paper. There's also, of course, PDF patterns that you can print off at home. So I have here one of the Primrose Dawn patterns. So they are one of our sponsors, and you can get 20% off their patterns during our sew along here. Again, I'll put that code in the comments there. So she's got some really great bra and bralette patterns. There's also, like I said, there's a ton of other ones out there. Some brands that we like are Orange Lingerie. There's also the Bra Makery, AFI Atelier, lots of ones out there. If you're looking for something a little bit different, there's a lot of brands that are doing very complex cups. Some of them are very simple, and a great place to find a lot of them is on Etsy. So you can search underwire bra patterns, or if you're looking for a bralette pattern, again, same good place to look is on Etsy. So once I have my bra pattern figured out, it's going to tell me what I need. So on these Elan ones, it tells me on the back of the pattern everything I'm going to need. If you're buying a PDF pattern, it's usually in the instructions or maybe somewhere in the description on the site. It's going to tell you everything that you need for your pattern.